Okay. First up, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. It's fun to see so many new faces in here. I do trainings like this every single month, every single week inside of Powerhouse and my Steal My Strategy course. But it's fun to see so many new faces inside here. We're going to get right into it because I have a lot to cover. As per usual, my slide deck is longer than the allotted time, which is my toxic trait. Once I get going on a topic, I'm like, oh, and this, oh, and there's this, oh, and there's this. So we're going to get right into it. Want to let you know that the meeting's being recorded and a recording will be emailed out. So I genuinely recommend you get out a paper and pen. So, and I know that sounds like fifth grade called and they want their strategy back, but there is a science behind actually like writing down, like the physicality of writing down connects it into your brain. You will actually learn more, retain more, and be better able to implement, right? So as we go through these things, feel free to like iterate on some of these things just a little bit. If you have other background knowledge that you think will improve it, I am always a proponent of iterations on things. And we're going to get into it. Is there anything else I forgot, Elle, that I was going to say that I forgot? Elle keeps my head screwed on straight. Is there anything else I was going to say, Elle? Where are you? Okay. If she hasn't interrupted me, then I think we're good. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to get into how to be like, how many of you genuinely want more listings in your business? Like, let's talk about, okay, thank you. Oh, you guys are like a responsive group. This makes it so much more fun. So the thing about listings and why we want more listings, hi Laura from Colorado, is listings have an end game, right? Like they're going under contract, right? Buyers might buy or they might bail, right? How many times have you like worked with a buyer for 6 months and they're like, oh, change in plans. And you're like, bruh, I've literally just spent 6 months and 30 hours on you. So bummer, right? Whereas listings, so it gives you more, like your buyers are going to give you months like this, right? Whereas if you are stacked with listings, your months will look more like this, where you don't have highs and lows in your income. And it just makes it so much easier. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different things that I've done inside of my business, and we will jump right into it. Let me get to present mode. Bear with me here. And I got to get my, if you have questions, feel free to drop it into the chat. I can't see all of your faces when I'm sharing my screen like this, but I can see the chat. So feel free to jump into the chat. I also would tell you, if you want to drop where you're from in the chat, rooms like this are really great to build relationships with other agents. I think agents sometimes miss the point and they don't want to be on social media because like, well, just other agents follow me. And I'm like, I'm trying to understand where the problem with that is, because one agent might know 10 buyers, right? And so when I have a listing, oh, trust me, I want other agents to know. So building a really strong agent network will actually really help your business in a lot of ways. So let's get started. Today's objective, we want to, how to prospect listings on social media. We want to turn your social media into your portfolio so that when buyers or sellers come to your social media, they're like, oh, okay, this is what Shannon does. Like, I know, and they can like go through, oh, well, this is what Shannon thinks about the market. This is what Elizabeth thinks about the market. This is her perspective on the market. And they can spend a lot of time with you on social media. This is where you buy back your time, right? Because they're doing their due diligence on their own inside of social media, right? Before I get going, hang on, I got to check one thing to make sure. This always happens every single time. There's always a million people that need. Elle, will you look up Nicole Miller? She's having trouble getting in. I just want to check and make sure that there's not anyone that's like, and Maria Barraza, sorry that you're getting this is real time. Okay, I think that's everyone. I just have to check, make sure my DMs aren't blowing up with people that are like, I can't get in. So If you turn your social media into this portfolio, right, then buyers and sellers are able to come and spend time with you without it being in real time, without it actually being your time, right? Then we want to know, well, how do you follow up with prospects? Because a lead is not a lead until you've taken it off the app, right? Instagram is where you generate leads, but you have to get them off the app before they're actually a lead. And then we're going to talk about how to present at your listing appointment and how to launch every listing. And you'll, as we go through this, you'll start to see how connected all of this is. Okay. So sellers are often feeling nervous, anxious, excited, scared, unsure, right? If we put a platter of feelings in front of them, these are all feelings that they would pick up, right? Your job is to help them feel safe, secure, confident, knowledgeable. And when you can do this, you will move them from feeling stressed to feeling sure. Okay? When sellers feel sure, they will sign the listing agreement. So the question is how do you make them feel sure? You have an answer for every question before they ask it, and you communicate it often. One of the biggest things I will tell you that most of you probably are not doing is communicating it often enough. How many of you would be like, well, yeah, I posted about pricing strategy in March and then haven't posted about it again? I want you to think about how many pieces of content and how many pieces of information you consume in a day. You got to post about it every single week, right? Because that's the amount of like information people are consuming on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Okay. So communicate it often is important. And the analogy I always give is if you have kids, it's like, how many times do you have to tell your kids to brush their teeth? You tell them every single day, both morning and night until they're 8 years old, sometimes 5 times a day. And yet it's something they have to do every single day. And you tell them, oh, you need to do this every single day. And then think you're not going to have to tell them tomorrow. And then you have to tell them again tomorrow. Buyers and sellers, it's the same thing. Okay. So, and this is the data that supports this. The 7-11-4 rule of marketing should change how you talk to your buyers and sellers. This is the new consumer journey. Before consumers make a buying decision, they will need to run into you and your message. On average, they need to spend 7 hours with you across 11 touch points and 4 locations. 7 hours. 7 hours. And I'm gonna be vulnerable here. I would like to know inside the chat. Drop inside the chat if you have spent more than 30 minutes on my Instagram. Yes or no? We're going to do a gut check right now. Okay. Yes, 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 yes. Right? So you were all able to consume the information that you needed in a way that you're already spending your time that way. You're already on Instagram. You're already there, right? And so you're putting your information in a place where your buyers and sellers already are, right? As opposed to cold calling them during dinner time. Now you are going to have to call them, but it's not going to be a cold call during dinner time, right? Which feels very different. Okay, so see Mandy. Okay, we're going to reverse engineer Mandy's consumer journey because Mandy is a referral, right? Mandy said, maybe I really just found you. I implemented one of your ideas and my friend encouraged me to take this class. Watch this when I show you a consumer journey, and this will blow your mind how you can put this in with your buyers and sellers. Okay. Oh gosh, I always do this. Hang on 1 second. You feel like I've done this before and maybe I wouldn't struggle, but still a human being. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to this. So, there we go. Okay, so the 7-11-4 rule of marketing, I want you to think about this from your buyers and sellers perspectives. I'm going to be talking about buyers, even though we're talking about listings, because sellers start off as buyers. When they sell their house, they have to buy something else. So they start out as buyers, right? And so this should inform how you do everything. This is the customer journey. Okay, And this is where Mandy is, right? Mandy is, whoever her friend is, has already had an experience with me, and her friend shared about her experience to Mandy. And so Mandy trusts her friend. Mandy doesn't necessarily totally trust me yet, but she trusts her friend, right? And we all know this with buyers and sellers. Referrals are our best clients, right? Because you get more of the same type of deal, right? How many of you would like to own a neighborhood and do the same deal again and again and again and again, as opposed to driving 45 minutes over here for a $200,000 listing, driving back 30 minutes over here for a $500,000 listing, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to work with an investor client over here, and then, oh, now we're going to go over here and we're going to work with a first-time home buyer, and now this person is looking for their dream home. I am tired. I'm tired. You know what I like to do? I like to sit at $1 million price point, working with people moving up to their like move up house within a half a mile of my house. That makes my life really easy. Cuts down my commute. It increases my hourly rate. $1 million is not a super high price point where I'm at, so it sells pretty quickly, right? It's a nice paycheck, isn't it? Okay. So I want you to look at this customer journey, right? And we look at like, you have to move sellers from awareness to consideration, decision, service, loyalty. Loyalty is where they're referring you to people, okay? Service is like when you're in the middle of the transaction, right? This is where like your buyers and sellers are like, oh my gosh, my offer got rejected. Oh my gosh, I don't have enough showings, right? They have this moment where they're like, oh, like every transaction has this like kind of low point in it. And it's good for you to know that. Don't act like there's not a low point. Know that there's a low point and then like remedy it. Know that like have a touch point there, have something there that is the solution, right? So that they're feeling low because it's the stress of showings or the stress of not enough showings. They're unsure in negotiations or inspections, the complexities of packing and moving and getting all the paperwork. You have to know that in the middle of that transaction, they are literally in the middle of an upheaval of their entire life, and emotionally it draws out a ton of emotion, right? And so if you can have, so then you say, okay, well, what's the solution? Figure out what your solution is to that. And then you want to create a touch point that delivers the solution they need. Okay. So you know what's going on here. So, right, awareness, they're not even sure. A lot of times in awareness, they push back on the idea of moving, right? They're going to push back on it. And see how they're kind of low right here. They're like, oh, I don't really want to move. It feels like a lot of work, right? Isn't that where they're at? And then they start thinking about it and they're like, oh my gosh, this would be kind of fun. It'd be kind of exciting. Okay, then we're going to do that. And then they're like, okay, we're going to list our house. Okay, my house is clean. They start feeling excited about it. They've seen houses that they might want to buy. They're feeling like all these great emotions, right? And again, you want to say like, okay, here's their pain point though. What's the solution to those pain points? And delivering that solution in a touch point. Okay, the more you can dial in on this, and this starts to be your system, like screenshot this, print it out, blow it up, put it in your office, so that when this point happens, you don't go off the rails of like, well, I'm a horrible real estate agent. I probably shouldn't do this because look, I suck at it and my clients hate me and this is the worst. No. This is normal. It's normal. Okay, normal. And when you know, oh, it's normal, right? Then you don't get caught up in the feelings of it and go down your own like spiral of negativity, right? Your job is to stay the expert. Okay, is this helpful? Yes or no in the chat? Is this customer journey helpful? Okay, now I'm going to show it. Yes or no? Okay. This will change your business if you implement just this thing right here. Okay. So now let's see what this looks like kind of mapped out in my business. And then you can take the pieces that you can.
Everybody's talking at me. I don't hear what you're saying. Really holds up my mind. People stop and stare.
Okay. So what does this content look like? And what is our goal with this piece of content, right? Every piece of content needs to have a goal, right? So our customer journey, right? We're going to use our customer journey like, oh, we want to move them from awareness to consideration. Okay. Remember, sellers start off as buyers. Okay. So they're looking to buy their dream home. Currently, this is why sellers aren't selling right now. They have a low interest rate. They are literally handcuffed to their interest rate. So you have to tell them like, oh, okay, what is it that I want, right? And so you have to listen. I'm going to tell you another statistic that will change your business. 87% of home purchases are influenced by women. Okay. You want to know what women like to do? Look at beautiful houses, whether they can afford them or not afford them. That's what they like to do. Okay. It's kind of like men like to look at beautiful women, whether they can date them or not date them. They enjoy beautiful women. Women enjoy beautiful homes. So there you have it. You should use that to your advantage. Okay. Sorry if there's any men in the room. I was just being funny. Just LOL. Thank you, Betsy. Don't take it too serious. Okay. So that's what their concern is, but they want a window shop, but also at this price point, when you move up in price points, number one, your goal should be to move up in price points. When you move up in price points, those buyers don't want to waste anyone's time. They won't go out and look at houses until they've decided they're buying a house. And so you have to know that they will not waste your time. Okay, so great. What does $3.2 million buy you in Scottsdale? Okay, now in Scottsdale, $3.2 million isn't, it's a higher price point, but there's Scottsdale things sell for over $10 million. Okay, it's like the Beverly Hills of Phoenix. Okay, so this is like, what does $3.2 million buy you in Scottsdale? And then I'm going to tell you, like, you can see my caption. Anyone else love window shopping for homes? Right? Because I'm talking to that 40-year-old female that's daydreaming about moving houses, but is having a hard time because she knows she is handicapped by her, like handcuffed with her interest rate. Okay. Now I'm going to detail the benefits of this neighborhood. Okay. This one backs up to a lake. This one is in McCormick Ranch, and there's a golf course and all the fun things. Right. Then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use in my call to action, CTA stands for call to action. I'm going to say comment ranch. And then I'm going to use ManyChat to connect to my CRM with a link to the property squeeze page. I'm just telling you, this is $10,000 worth of coaching right here. Write it down. I don't even have time to go into ManyChat today. Write it down. Do your due diligence on it. ManyChat, you all used ManyChat inside this course. How many of you, yes or no in the chat, commented listings on one of my Instagram posts? Yes or no? Drop a yes or no. And then how many of you were surprised how quickly that link was delivered to your DMs? Yeah. Okay, so all of these things you're going to say like, oh, Kristen's like, no, I was on your email list, right? So all of these things are saying like, we're building out a funnel for your listings, right? Now I'm going to tell you what's going to happen the first time you do this. Nothing. Okay, and Megan says, no, I got your email 4 times and finally took the plunge. Again, I don't shut up about it, right? So again, when you're like, oh, well, I talked about pricing strategy last month, I don't want to be repetitive. No, you should be repetitive. 100%, right? So a property squeeze page is through your CRM. I use KV Core. I don't have time to go into how to create a squeeze page. Write it down, get into your CRM. A squeeze page will lead them to like this. It's a listing specific website. What happens is this is one of my listings here. If you have a $4 million buyer looking in Arizona, send them my way. Is it sends them to a property specific website that you can build inside your CRM. It doesn't necessarily have to be one of your listings because it's connected to like the IDX feed. Yes, I use KV Core for my primary CRM. But here's the kicker. It requires them to put in their email address to view the content. Okay? It requires them to put in their email address to view the content. You want their email address because now that's a lead. Now you're going to say, oh, well, no one's going to do that. You're right. No one is going to do it the first time you do it. That's like saying like, well, I wanted to hit a home run the first time I got up to bat. The odds of that are zero. Like the odds of that are zero. But if you take 100 at bats, okay, your odds have like increased quite a bit. Yes or no in the chat. Okay, so you have to be repetitive on this, right? But then they go into your CRM and now that's a lead, because if the person's willing to put in their email address, doesn't that communicate that they're more serious than the person that's just looky-loosey around? Right? So then once they put in their email address, then you set up your email workflow. Okay, this is what my email workflow is. And yes, it's talking about buying because they start off as buyers, right? This is why we don't want to be working with first-time home buyers, as they don't have something to sell as well, right? Someone that has something to sell also wants to buy. They're more excited about buying than they are about selling. Okay, so go where they're excited. So this is what my email workflow looks like. This is literally right from my listing template. Okay, my seller's guide. And I just wait 2 days and it puts them on this strip. And inside each email is a call to action leading them back to my CRM, right? Oh, you can start your search here because I can see on the backside of my CRM what they're looking at, right? And then I'm like, oh, they're looking. I'm going to call them, right? I'm going to call them, not during dinner time, right? And is this a cold call now? No. Do you want to know what happens when I call people from my CRM? They're like, oh my gosh, hi. What's going on? Because they already know me, right? It's not like I'm some random person. Like they've been having a relationship with me on Instagram for quite a while, right? Here's another example. Okay. So, this is literally, let's see how long this is. 5 seconds. And it's just driving through a neighborhood, right? This is going to bring out-of-state people, right? You're going to use hashtags that are local to you, people that are searching and looking around. Make yourself easy to find, right? Headline, 3 neighborhoods to love in Phoenix. I detail out 3 neighborhoods that are great in Phoenix. If you don't want, like I put in a prompt, use ChatGPT. Act as a local real estate agent and tell me the top 3 neighborhoods to look at in Phoenix, Arizona. And use that. You don't have to write that whole caption. Then the call to action, comment search to begin your home search. Right? And then when they comment search, it's going to link them to my CRM. It's going to DM them a link to my CRM where they can begin their search, where I can then track the data. Questions so far? Or is this blowing your mind? Yes or no if this is blowing your mind. Okay. So this is on your social. And then they opt in. Again, they're back into your email list, right? And if you were getting emails like this from a real estate agent, aren't you like think about it from the customer's perspective, where it's like, oh my gosh, I commented search, that DM happened in my instantaneously, and then you're going to use like a Zapier or a VA or an admin, right, to transfer all those buyers and sellers from your CRM into an email flow. I use Flowdesk. Al, will you drop my link for Flowdesk in the chat from our Google Sheets? If you want Flowdesk, I can save you 50%. So I will have Al drop that in the chat. So KV Core, that's a good question, Nikki. KV Core has an automated emailing thing. It works like Zillow, right? And so it's like, it has an algorithm and it will keep sending properties similar to what they're looking at, right? But then I also use Flowdesk for like pretty emails like this. So you want to think about it from like the consumer's perspective. So let's see, they've been following you, they finally comment search or ranch, whatever, they finally comment one of your things, you DM them instantaneously, and then emails that look like this start showing up in their inbox. It communicates that you're the freaking bomb. It communicates that you've built a really great business, right? I don't have a code for ManyChat. Good question. So on your social, again, so this, you have reels, you have carousel posts, right? And we'll break down like how you want to break down your social media. But let's say your homeowner is looking to sell, they're nervous about the market. So I'm going to give them a market report. And this was one of my favorite posts. Spoiler, I don't actually know what is happening in the market, and neither do you, your agent, your lender, or even your dad. Heck, I don't even think Dave Ramsey knows. Swipe for what I do know. Because don't you think your consumers are tired of agents telling them like, oh, I know exactly what's going on in the market? Really? Really? You do? So when are interest rates going to drop? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, what's going to happen to prices next month? You can guarantee what you're going to say? Cannot. So don't present it as that way. Like you want to arm your buyers and sellers with a couple of things. Number one, they want to trust you. So me saying, I don't actually know what's happening in the market. I don't know. Okay, here's what I do know. And if you swipe through that, there's like news articles that say, oh, homeowners, have, I think it's like the average homeowner has over like $180,000 worth of equity in their house. And right, there's all these statistics. Okay, here's what I do know. And you can decide what it means, because my job is not to make decisions for my buyers and sellers. My job is to equip them with information that makes them confident in making their own decision. Does that make sense? Because they need to take ownership of the decision. How many of you want to take yes or no in the chat if you want to take ownership of your buyers and sellers' decisions? No, you do not want to take ownership of their decision. Absolutely not. It's not my decision whether or not they sell the house. I don't want to be, no, thank you. That's your decision, right? That's like saying you want to take ownership of like who your kid marries. No, I do not. No. You got to make that decision, bro. You know what I mean? I do have some input though. Okay. So reels are, yes, you want them to be educated and sure for themselves so that they feel confident in their decision. Exactly right, Nicole. Reels are your top of funnel, right? Remember our customer journey. Reels are where they just meet you. And so many of you are wanting to get on Instagram and get married the first time you meet someone. Stop that. That's weird. Those people are weird. You know what I mean? So Instagram is just where they meet you. Okay. And so reels, that's just like awareness. Then you want to move them through to consideration, decision, and service, right? By the time they're making a decision, they're off the app here, right? They're inside your CRM. They're texting you. Okay, they're calling you. They've requested a home value report, right? There's a million call to actions that you can use on the content that I post. Like you can say, oh, comment value to figure out what your home is worth, right? And then you can set up an automation inside ManyChat to link them to like a home seller report. Now, when they go to that home seller report, then I'm going to go and I'm going to take them the listing guide on their doorstep. Right? I'm going to show up on the doorstep. Here's your Reels recipe. Write this down. Trending audio. Trending audio means it has a little thing like this. I always use trending audio. So you can go look at the audio that I'm using and then use that same audio if you would like. A strong hook. You're being too passive in your hooks. Well, I kind of know what I'm talking about. Okay. Do you or don't you? Right? So you have to almost like put your stake in the ground and like own what your opinion on the market is. Okay. Have a value packed caption and a clear call to action. So your ideal is like looping audio with a video that is 5 to 7 seconds long, right? Because one of the metrics inside the algorithm is if they've watched the whole video and if it's been repeated, right? And so if you value pack your caption, that video is looping in the background because they're reading your caption. That tells Instagram, oh my gosh, like Alex is really interested in this. She watched it 10 times and she commented on it. I'm going to show this piece of content, not just to more people like Alex. Let that sink in. They're not just showing it to more people. They're showing it to more people like Alex. So that would mean if you have consistent content of like neighborhoods in Phoenix, what does this buy you in Phoenix? This is how you take your house to market, and you're using local hashtags, right? And, you know, Macy's looking at it all the time. It's going to, and Macy's like your ideal client, right? She can afford the house. She's pre-qualified. She's decisive. She has the money to spend. Because how many of you like working with like first-time home buyer? I have a first-time home buyer right now that is like, well, maybe I could do 500,000, or maybe we could really like get aggressive and we could do like 700,000, but I don't really know. And I'm just like, they're so freaking nervous to pull the trigger. Is that a deal you want? Or do you want the person that's like, oh, I'm in $1 million house and I have been in this house for 10 years. I have $400,000 in equity and we're well along in our careers. And I'm willing to bet on myself and go like balls to the wall on my offer and get the house. I just want to know who you want to work with. First time home buyer or move up buyer? Drop it in the chat. Yeah, that move up or dream home buyer all day long. Because they're not going to be as nervous because this is not their first rodeo, right? Not their first rodeo. Okay. Do you see like Gucci and Louis Vuitton being like, oh, are you sure you want to spend $1,500 on an entry-level bag? No, they don't give two shiz, right? They're like, the price is the price. And in fact, you're going to wait in line to even come in and shop with us. Okay, you want to be Gucci. Okay, so position yourself as Gucci, and you can do that in your content. Okay. Okay, let me get back. Here we go. So, okay, before a seller sells, they look at buying, so show them what they want. Your alpha client, your ideal client, that move up dream home buyer client, will hit follow on your buyer content, but they will convert on your seller content, right? Think about this about like dating, okay? Let's go back to dating, okay? You hit follow because he was like good looking and funny. You said yes when he proposed because he's like, I'm going to go to work and keep a roof over your head and be loyal to you, and you can have as many babies as you want and buy the groceries and do whatever the hell you want. That's why you married the guy. You didn't like, right? Because everyone ends up being 40 and out of shape, and everyone has a dad bod and a mom bod at some point. But you hit follow initially, like my kids would say, like, oh, that guy turns heads. Like, oh, he's a head, like they turn, you're going to pull, right? Anyways, so like you catch your attention is caught because they're good looking or funny and entertaining in a way, but you're converting because they're reliable and they're loyal. Yes or no in the chat. Do you get what I'm saying? When you put it in a dating connotation, does it make sense in a dating connotation? Okay. So again, this is the same consumer journey. I feel like when you put it in a dating connotation, it feels really obvious, right? But sometimes we get kind of muddied up inside consumers. So buyer content is entertaining. Seller content solves their problem. Okay.
This
is seller content.
So different and so new.
Okay. if I see you post another Canva just sold, just listed static image in your content, I'm going to lose my marbles. Stop it. Stop. Okay. And I want you to think about this like one of my English teachers literally said this to me in high school, and I still remember it. Like when you're writing, you want to show what's happening, not tell. Show, don't tell. Write that down. Show, don't tell. Because look what I say right here. The house on Lemon is under contract, and it was, and now it's back on market because this is the real world. And sometimes that happens, right? So I say how to go from stress to sold. Don't rely on one marketing channel. Instead, use multiple: social media, in-person, print. They should all coordinate to give your end consumer an immersive experience. Caption for detailed breakdown, right? Because if people are thinking about selling their house, have you seen an open house that looks like this?
Magic moment. So different and so new.
Right? They're like, holy crap, those are really nice brochures, right? And then they're like, what's their next question? What is with all the flowers? Right?
So
The point is to be extra, you know? So Megan, okay, Megan says I've had such good success with that. They can see that I'm busy. I want you to be busy, like showing like, oh, in your stories, I'm going to another listing appointment. You see that I'm busy. Oh, we're doing an open house, right? And so then your content would be like, oh, how to, like 3 things I always take with me to my open house, right? And then you're educating those buyers and sellers of like, oh, this is what happens at an open house. This also helps them not negotiate with you on your commission, because they're like, oh, like, look at that. Who's paying for those? It's me. I'm paying for it, right? The agent's paying for it. So then they're like, oh, this is what I'm getting, right? Does that make sense? So you want to use carousel posts to post out detailed and like specific things. You can talk about the go-to-market timeline, how to prep the home, how to price the home, open house strategy, video inside your reels. Again, this was trending audio at the time. This video is 7 seconds long, right? Do you see the pattern? All content has a specific goal. Discovery is where they hit follow. And then you want to connect is where they're hitting save on your posts. You want them to save your posts. So that might be your call to action sometimes. Save this post, right? For when you're ready to buy or sell, because that tells Instagram, oh, they want to keep seeing, you know, what Elizabeth is posting. Okay. Conversion is where they opt into your email. Your aim should be 15% discovery, 70% connection, and 15% conversion. Okay, wait, hang on. I want to see Mackenzie. The second I started to lean into my own version of extra, I have more inspiration for content that feels like it's converting really well. Yes. Okay, extra on average style homes. So like you can still have, like when you say extra, it's like, okay, great. Maybe you have a coffee truck in front of your open house, or maybe it's like, oh, you're getting like the balloons for all of the signs. And maybe you have a cleaner come in for your clients before the open house. Like, because remember, we're going back to that customer journey map, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to prep the home. They feel overwhelmed. They feel stressed. Maybe one of your touch points is, well, I'll just have a cleaner come in. But then you're talking about that on social media. How much would a cleaner cost? $150 to go clean the house on a $10,000 commission? Don't you think then, you know, your buyer is like telling everyone about you? It brings you more deals, right? So what happens on social mirrors in real life. So you see it on my social media, and then you see it in my email, and then you see it in real life, and then it's the listing launch, right? Because now we're going to talk about how to launch those listings. As you do this, right? So I have my printed thing. I bring it with me. I'll show it to you here. This is my listing template. It shows up on this content shows up on my social media, in their email, on their doorstep, at the listing appointment, again and again and again and again and again. Right? It's the same thing. Just look at like what Coke does. Again, it's not a party until you have a Coke, right? Like it's fun, it's summer, it's light, it's easy. You go to the movie, you want Coke, right? They're before the movie trailer, right? Because they know when you want it, okay? So, and I'll show you how I do this. So on my social media, so one of the things I talk about is like a 3-step marketing process. So I take this strategy right here, I'll put it in a reel as a carousel post, and I'll talk about it in my stories. Driving opt-in to my email list, right? Then on their doorstep, they request a home value report. I literally, it's automated, right? And we all know the automated home value reports are wrong. They're always wrong, right? Because it's just like a generic home value report. Great. Now you have their email and their address. So what I do is then I run my own home value report, take it with this, and it is on their doorstep. Where are those envelopes? I don't have them right here. I'm looking to see. I have black envelopes that I put them in, right? And it's on their doorstep. You imagine that where they're like, oh my gosh, right? And then remember the 7-11-4 rule of marketing. Then they're sitting like perusing this. So they're perusing your social media, then you're in their email, and now they have this like really beautiful printed material on their doorstep. It's wild. And then also at the listing appointment. Sometimes you get a listing appointment like, oh, I already have one. And you're like, okay, cool. But you have one with you at the listing appointment, right? And they can write notes. You can go through the house. Okay, this is what needs to do in the kitchen. This is everything we need to do before we do photos, right? Because you have to then walk the seller through the entire marketing process, which is going to be the same thing that you just did to prospect the listing. Now you're going to do that same thing to sell the listing. Make sense? Yes or no? In the chat. Is this all connecting? I order them right through Canva. I don't know if it's the least expensive option, but it's the most efficient, and I don't care. I will pay for efficiencies. You can scan that QR code. It's in my Stan store all the time. It's a digital download. If you want that, it's right there. I'll leave that there for you for just a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now, the listing launch strategy is this. We're going to use this same 7-11-4 rule of marketing to then sell the house. It's always the same, because now you must create circumstances where the buyers will see the home this many times, right? I drop it at the doorstep for a home value report. I also take it with me to the listing appointment. Not every listing appointment has opted into the home value report, and I literally don't care if they end up with 2. Like, I don't care. They cost me $15 and it's a $15,000 commission check. I don't care. I will over deliver all day long on that. Because also if they have 2, they'll pass it to a friend, right? It's tangible. It's printed. It feels good, especially for that 40-year-old. They're like what you would call a geriatric millennial. I'm a geriatric millennial. Thank you very much. Drop it in the chat if you know what a geriatric millennial is. Jamie's like, it's me, right? A geriatric millennial is someone that is really old inside the millennial age group. Like they were born between like 1980 and 1984. And so like we got cell phones in college. So we know that the print world and like life before cell phones, but we were young enough that we adapted really well to cell phones, right? But okay, how many of you love the line on You've Got Mail where she's like, I just want like a freshly sharpened bouquet of pencils? Yes or no? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like you love your school supplies. A geriatric millennial loves their school supplies. They just do. I don't know. It's the tangible. Okay, Elle, will you go through and let me know if I've missed any questions as we get going? Because the chat is like going nuts and I can't keep track of it. Okay, so now you have to create circumstances where the buyers will see the home this many times. Okay, so how do we do that? On your social, again, we're going to go back to your social, right? Where we have this coming soon period. Every listing I have has a coming soon period, and I want it to be 2 weeks long. Okay. Now, don't at me that, oh, in my state, we can't have coming soon. Don't at me that. That means you have to get more creative. Okay, I can put a sign in the yard and I can have it marked in my MLS as coming soon. Okay, it's not shown on Zillow, right? It's not forward facing, only agents can see it. And then I can sit and show the house. I can do whatever I want showing the house. Now, if you cannot do that, here are a few ideas. You might show your feet behind the scenes. You might show your feet walking around in a house, right? This is what I would do. And I would wear like shoes that people are going to ask about. And I would show myself walking around in a house of like, oh, at a listing appointment, doing a home tour, right? What happens is you'll train your consumer that every time they see you like film with your phone looking down at your feet walking, if they're looking for a house, they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to DM you. Okay, tell me about this house. Where is it listed? What price point is it? Right? They'll know. Okay. And your marketing. So yes, put on, like, I don't care. Go buy 10 pairs of shoes that are interesting. I bet you all notice what I wear. Yes or no? If you have noticed what I wear, yes or no, drop it in the chat. Yep. You all probably notice that I wear bright lipstick, except for in the summertime, I don't wear makeup, right? So that is part of your marketing. Okay. So if you can't do like coming soon traditionally, then you can get in your car. You can film yourself in your car. Like, okay, just wrapped up a listing appointment. I can't wait to bring this to market. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm not saying anything about the house. I'm not saying where it's at. I'm not saying the price point. I'm saying that I'm bringing another house to market. And that becomes part of the FOMO of them not being able to know, is you being like, oh my gosh, I would love to tell you guys. Ethically, I am not allowed to tell you. So if you have questions, shoot me a DM. That's even better, because now they have to get into your DMs, right? Or you could play a guessing game of like, okay, where do you think the price point on this one is, right? Or something like that. Okay, to get that engagement. The people that engage in those types of stories are your leads. So then you should write down a list of all those people. I'm not joking. You should write down a list of all those people that like opt in on your stories and play the guessing game of like, what do you think this, bringing a house to market. All I can tell you is that it's in Gilbert. What do you think the price point of it is? Right? And give them some ranges. Anyone that responds to that is actively looking. So then you make a list of all those people and talk to them on Instagram. Set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes, engage on their posts, show up, because then what happens is Instagram will keep showing you to each other and you want them to keep seeing you, right? Okay. On their doorstep. This is, again, we're launching this listing. So I'm sending out mailers. I do 4 mailers per listing, mail to my farm neighborhood. Remember how I said I want to be within a half a mile of my house because it makes my life easier? So every listing, every buyer, every transaction I do, I send out 4 postcards. Coming soon, just listed, open house, pending, closed, sold, right? How I do this is I don't add the address. I change the photos, right? But then that farm neighborhood is just like, holy cow. Every time I turn around, Andrea is sending me a postcard telling me that something is coming soon or just listed or under contract. Like, Andrea's the GOAT. If I'm going to sell my house, I'm calling Andrea. Now, what you want to do on your postcards is you want to use QR codes to drive traffic to your Instagram account, home value reports, to your CRM, right? Everything keeps going back to that CRM and your email, okay? And I've literally put QR codes to like, oh, come see behind, like on a coming soon postcards. One of my call to actions was, get a behind the scenes look at the house on my Instagram account, follow, like, right? And it linked to my Instagram account because I want them to also follow me on Instagram, right? And then show up in their mailbox, then be in their email, right? Then you want to use the internet at large, right? So I film everything long form and short form. So I have reels, and then I have a long form YouTube video for every listing. And then I also pin that video to Pinterest. Because remember, your alpha client is 40 years old. Pinky promise, if they're moving, they're on Pinterest. Why are they on Pinterest? Drop it in the chat. Why are they on Pinterest? They're looking for new home ideas, right? They're going to look at furniture shopping, right? So you're running into them where they already are. They're geriatric millennials, 100%, right? And then you're also posting it to Facebook as well. Okay. And so then do you see how now they're like, oh, then they see the house on Zillow, then they've seen it on your social media. It starts to be immersive. The neighbors all know about it because they've gotten the postcards, right? It's immersive. Your goal is to become listing heavy, to prospect listings, prospect buyers for those listings, prospect more listings in the neighborhood. This is your goal. Yes, you can do a QR code to the website, then retarget them. 100%. 100%. For the mailers, only for my listings and buyers. Yeah, for the mailers, I send them out. Let me see, I have a whole stack of them here. Here's a bunch of them. So they look, whoa, where am I? So they look like this. Follow along on Instagram for more sneak peeks is like the, and then it links to my Instagram account. Oh, another one I use is like know a friend that would love it, connect with me here, right? So there's all sorts of like QR codes that I use, right? So why this works? What does Zillow do? Zillow provides value to the end consumer, collects the data, and refers out the leads. And Zillow arguably prospects the most deals. So let's do what Zillow does, right? This is exactly what I've done, but on Instagram, right? Zillow collects data. They provide value to the end consumer. How many of you are effectively collecting data on your Instagram? Yes or no? If you are effectively collecting data on your Instagram, yes or no? Okay, therein lies the issue. If you are not effectively collecting data on your Instagram, how do you know what to post? How do you know what to do next? How do you know? That's like listing a house without running comps. You never would do that, right? So, and they refer out the leads. So that's what I did on Instagram. Instagram allows you to just cut out the middleman and drive up profits 30%, right? If I'm not paying for Zillow leads. The other thing is Instagram has a compounding rate of return. Has a compounding rate of return. Notice, you'll know that not one of these pictures is the exact same picture. This is what your Instagram should look like. It's all very similar, but it's not the same. I'm saying the same thing, right? So the 7-11 rule, 7-11-4 rule of marketing, you want to build a content library on social media. This is where you meet more people and build relationships at scale. Look at the amount of accounts I'm reaching. 8 million. Okay. This is what other agents have done. Rookie agent, rookie agent, rookie agent. All of these agents have been inside my coaching courses or Powerhouse or in some way, shape, or form. This is the power of Instagram. You need to turn your Instagram into your portfolio, and then you will watch your listings skyrocket. Create the content and track the data, connect it on the back end. Use ManyChat, use your CRM, use your email marketing, connecting it all in the background so that it's running on autopilot. Okay. If your Instagram needs a 30-day makeover, you can enroll in Steal My Strategy. I'm going to give you the link for it in here. I'll teach you how to run the data on your Instagram if you want to build your Instagram out this way. we do an Instagram audit, know where you're at, know your numbers, understand what your KPIs are. Okay. Those are key performance indicators. What's being saved, what's being shared, what pieces of content are performing well, and we double down on that. You need to have your profile and bio set up for optimization, right? Where are they supposed to go? Do you have an exit strategy for them? A lead is not a lead until they are off of the app. Okay, we'll go through what to post, how to clarify your message that you're only talking to one person. We talked about that a little bit today. Drill down on that move up dream home buyer. Okay, that should be your alpha client. Your content planner. How many of you get on Instagram like, oh, I'm going to get some ideas, and you end up scrolling for 30 minutes and then you never post anything? Yes or no in the chat? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to skip the endless scroll. I have a pre-filled planner with 52 ideas of what to post and why, that drives through that customer journey, that takes them from discovery to connection to conversion. Okay, the next thing you need to do is create community engagement. How many of you are talking to the people that are already in your sphere? You need to have a plan for this. You do not need more, you do not need more followers, you need more conversations. Conversations lead to conversions. You need to have more conversations. So how do you go from DM to listing appointment? And then we're going to automate some of this, because how many of you already have a full-time job and don't have time for social media to be your full-time job? Yes or no in the chat? Yeah. And so you don't even put in the call to action because you're like, I don't even have time to respond to all these people. Yeah. So you should automate it. Okay. And I'll teach you how to do that. This is what's included. It's a 4-week group coaching community Facebook group. You'll have my Rise playbook. This is over 50 pages. This is actually just my entire business strategy in here. You'll have the digital version of this. Content planner, the KPI spreadsheet, the automation tools that you need. If you were to pay for it all separately, it would be about $3,400. Everyone tells me I should charge $2,500. I actually only charge $1,500 because I just like to see people win. I think it's really fun. So if you want to enroll and steal my strategy, will you drop the link in the chat? And then I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I have a few minutes for Q&A. But if you want to, I don't know what I just pushed here, and want to enroll and steal my strategy, I would be happy to have you. Anyone have questions? Drop it in the chat. I have about 10 minutes for Q&A. If anyone has questions. Helpful in the chat, yes or no? Is this helpful? Does this blow your mind?
Amy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I see your houses, and they're, these $1 million houses. And I think one of the hardest things is I'm obviously trying to break into that luxury market here. I'm in Northwest Indiana, hour outside of Chicago.
Okay.
And so, but my listings are like 300 to 500, and it's like a more normal price point, I would say. A really fancy house here might be 1 to 1.5. What is my strategy to break into that?
So I would go and, like, the house that I said, what's $3.2 million by you in Scottsdale, that was at an open house. I just went and walked the open house, and I told the agent, I said, do you care if I share this on social media? Why would any agent care that I share their house on social media and prospect a buyer for them?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they know I shared it. Right? So again, you have to look at, like, what's your discovery content? Right? So one of the other things I did a couple years ago, like literally a couple years ago, I went and walked Parade of Homes in Utah, flew up to Utah, walked Parade of Homes, filmed a bunch of stuff because I want my content to look luxury. That doesn't mean every house I sell is luxury.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that, right? And so, but that is your discovery content. Then in your stories, you're talking about, oh, this is coming to market. This is coming to market. This is coming to market. It's not like you can't share what's coming to market, right? But you have both of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question about your drip campaign. Hi,
Yeah.
Amy.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
Same.
So your strategy for implementing your, I think it was buyer, kind of playbook into your CRM. what is the frequency of that? Is it like once a week? Is it like, how frequently do you share each of that process with your CRM?
The listing, like the listing guide, like
I think it's a listing guide. Yeah.
yeah. So it's on a drip, and every 2 days it sends an email
Okay.
just until you're through the content.
Okay.
Right. So I think there's 7 emails in that thread. I'd have to go look at it. Are you getting luxury clients on social media? Yeah, 100%. Why? Other agents refer their buyers and sellers to me from out of state. And also, that did I get those at the very front end of my career? No, but like now they've seen my business grow because I've shown the whole process, right? So they're like, oh my gosh, like Amy like takes this seriously. And so often as you're so casual about what you're doing that they don't value it because you don't value it. Right? So you teach people how to perceive it. So they are in my sphere of influence, like in real life, because who you are on social media has to mirror who you are in real life, right? And so like the $4 million listing, that conversation started 18 months ago. And I got a text message, hey, we're thinking about maybe selling our house. What do you think? You know what I mean? And I'm just a trusted advisor in that sense. And I don't, my thing is I've always positioned myself to do what's best for my clients, whether that's best for me or not. And so that's how people know me in my community. Okay, a few questions Elle has in the chat for me here. Do you mail about the mailers? Do I mail them around the listing too? Sometimes if I want to prospect that neighborhood, yes. Or if it's important to the clients, also yes. If I think it will sell the house, also yes. I partner with a title company and I use EDDM, but I always send them to my farm neighborhood. Always, whether the house is in my farm neighborhood or not is irrelevant. Do you do a monthly mailer to my farm? I don't send like, hey, not time to clean your whatever. I don't know. No. Because how many of you have ever looked at that in the mail? Never, right? You want to share your results. People want results, right? And frankly, that move up dream home buyer, they know when it's time to clean their vents. They're not idiots. They're not first-time home buyers. Don't talk to them like they're first-time home buyers. And they don't want your recipe. They don't care. Because the internet exists. Like, when have you ever, I would yes or no in the chat, when have you ever got a mailer with a recipe and been like, oh, goody, goody gumdrops, I'm trying that. Just drop it in the chat. Yes or no, if you've ever done it. I genuinely, this is a great audience to test. Never, 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 never. Okay, there's your feedback. It won't convert. Let's see. I'm going back to Elle's message up here. Had some significant sales in the area earlier this year. How do I implement in a mail strategy? Oh, just send out postcards for all of them. Recently closed, just closed. Like, I think that's the other thing too, is they're like, oh, well, it closed 2 weeks ago and I haven't sent the postcard, so now I can't send the postcard. It's still just closed. It was 2 weeks ago. Like, what are you talking about? Send the postcard. I don't care if it's a month late. Just send the postcard and don't get too caught up in all of that. What is your take on flexing other people's listing until you get your own? Well, I think you can go and like walk open houses and show all of that content, right? There's a lot of content and like B-roll content. You actually don't see, like, you don't always, it's like you're sharing, you have to share more of your opinion on the market and how to list and like what your perspective is. Now you can be showing you walking through a house, but the content isn't about you walking through the house. The content is about, here's how to price your home. Because you have to go back to that customer journey. What is their pain point? What's your solution? And how do you deliver that in a touch point? That's all that matters. And then it all has to be connected in your back end. So if you want to deep dive on how to connect everything on the back end and get your social media funneling everyone inside of that, that's what we'll be connecting everything. You also can do it based on everything we learned in here. You can do it. If this is more so if you just want to have the content, and if you want to have a group doing it alongside of you, we'll connect ManyChat. We'll connect all of those things on the back end of all of your listings. But you have all the tools that you need. Okay. Yes or no if this was worth your time today? I want to hear what's your favorite thing that you learned today in the class. Drop it in the chat. What's your favorite thing that you learned today that you're going to implement? Literally put it in the chat, take ownership of it. What's the first thing you're going to implement? I love this. Okay. Workflow, CRM, ManyChat, pain point and solutions. That customer journey map, I'm telling you, is gold. Dig into that. We dig into that a lot inside of Steal My Strategy to like infer how you create content, because every piece of content needs to have a purpose. Stop posting just because you're supposed to post. Post with a purpose. Showcasing higher homes. Perfect. Okay, it's been so good seeing you guys. Do you like classes like this? Do you want me to offer more classes like this where it's just an hour workshop? Yes or no in the chat. Okay, my next question for you is what's the next thing you want training on? What's the next thing you want training on? Think about it, shoot me a DM. Okay. Nailing a listing content. Okay. This will help you nail your listing presentation. Here's the thing about listing presentations is you need to have the information and you need to have the resources, which now you have, but then you actually have to go and do the thing. Like that's how you nail listing appointments, is you do it a few times. So again, it's like swinging a baseball bat. I can sit and watch YouTube videos of where my hips are supposed to be, what my knees are supposed to do, where my elbows are. I can sit and watch a million YouTube videos, but until I go and swing the bat, I'm not proficient in it. So you have to just start swinging the bat. Same is true for social media. You have a lot of resources now to start posting. You want to be tracking your metrics and know what your key performance indicators are so that you can grow it much faster. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.